Hi, I'm Kevin Stoliker, and I really love the movies. Every day I get to share my passion for all things cinema in my digital arts and media class. One of my favorite things to teach is the art of special effects. This is the movie magic that makes imagination come to life. It could transport you to a distant planet, or back in time to the age of dinosaurs. Special effects can make a monster out of a man, or you can give me superpowers like teleportation or flight. And that's pretty cool. If you've ever wanted to know more about the art and engineering of special effects, this is your invitation to join me on a trip through the past to chronicle the real history of special effects and the impact that they've had on the movies we watch. Before we begin, this educational video is appropriate for general audiences, but there are some images here within that may be considered frightening for younger viewers. With that in mind, let's all go to the movies.
Special effects, often abbreviated as simply FX, are illusions or visual tricks used in the film, television, theater, and video game industries to simulate the imagined events in a story or virtual world.
Time's up.
Because of the recent introduction of digital film and computer graphics, a distinction is commonly given between visual effects and special effects. Visual effects, also known as VFX, refers to digital changes made in post-production or after filming is finished, while special effects refers to mechanical and optical effects created during filming. Mechanical effects, also called practical or physical effects, are usually accomplished during the live-action shooting.
Do it.
This includes the use of mechanized props, scenery, scale models, animatronics, pyrotechnics or explosions, and atmospheric effects like creating physical wind, rain, fog, snow, clouds, or making a car appear to drive itself. Mechanical effects are also often incorporated into set design and makeup. For example, a set may be built with breakaway doors or walls to enhance a fight scene, or prosthetics, sculpted and painted plastic or foam, can be used with makeup to make an actor look like a non-human creature. Optical effects, also called photographic effects, are techniques in which images are created with camera tricks like using multiple exposures or by placing actors or sets against a different background. Since the 1990s, computer-generated imagery, or CGI, has come to the forefront of visual effect technologies. It gives filmmakers great control and allows many effects to be accomplished more safely, convincingly, and at a lower cost. As a result, many optical effects and mechanical effect techniques have been replaced by CGI. To trace the history of special effects, here is a rundown of some of the most technological advancements in filmmaking over the last 120 years. In 1902, Georges Méliès, an early motion picture pioneer, sometimes referred to as the Cinemagician, premiered his most famous film, Le Voyage dans la Lune. The whimsical parody of Jules Verne's From the Earth to the Moon featured a combination of live action and animation, and also incorporated extensive miniature and matte painting work. In 1927, Fritz Lang's film Metropolis was an early special effects spectacular with innovative use of miniatures, the Schuften process, which uses mirrors to combine actors with miniature sets, and rear projection, or filming actors in front of a moving background. 1933. King Kong showcased Wilson O'Brien's masterfully detailed stop-motion animation, linking individual photos of posable models of the monster ape Kong and the prehistoric dinosaurs. Kong's own death atop New York's Empire State Building was filmed using a combination of an 18-inch model and a giant fist with actress Fay Wray in its grasp. During production, Linwood G. Dunn also further developed the optical printer, which allowed filmmakers to create optical effects by aiming a film projector directly at the camera lens. 1935. Becky Sharp, an adaptation of the classic novel Vanity Fair, becomes a major milestone in film technology by becoming the first feature film to exhibit the new and expensive process known as Technicolor. Previous films had all been entirely in black and white. (1937) Walt Disney's animated short film, The Old Mill, was the first cartoon to be produced with the multiplane camera, which allowed animation cells to be moved past the camera lens at different distances, creating depth. This was also the same year that Disney released the groundbreaking 83-minute masterpiece Snow White, the first full-length animated film. 1939. The Wizard of Oz becomes a milestone of early special effects mastery for its use of many of the previous techniques on a colorful and grand scale.
I knew it all the time.
1953. Warner Brothers horror film House of Wax becomes the first 3D color feature film released by a major American studio. While expensive to make at the time, it was very successful and established Vincent Price as the quintessential horror villain.
Godzilla, King of the Monsters, alive!
1956. The special effects in Gojira, aka Godzilla, King of the Monsters, weren't exactly revolutionary, but they were influential. These included animatronic models, miniatures of the city of Tokyo, and a man in a 6.5-foot latex lizard suit.
Behold his mighty hand!
1956. Legendary filmmaker Cecil B. DeMille captures the most expensive special effects shot to date while shooting the parting of the Red Sea for the film The Ten Commandments. It involved the use of miniatures, pyrotechnics, traveling matte paintings, rear projection, and by pouring 300,000 gallons of water into a tank and then playing the shot backwards. (1959) The Disney film Darby O'Gill and the Little People was able to create scenes in which full-size actors interacted with live leprechauns by employing a magical movie camera trick known as forced perspective. Darby was usually positioned closer to the camera in the foreground to make him appear larger, while the little people were placed at a distance in relation to him to appear smaller.
Let's get together, yeah, yeah, yeah.
1961. Disney filmed the movie Parent Trap, starring teen idol Hayley Mills in a dual role as twin sisters using split-screen technology. The same scene was shot twice with the camera locked into the same shooting position. The shots were then combined into a single negative and convincingly put two Hayley Mills into the same frame.
Yeah, yeah. Think of all that we could share. Let's get together.
1963. Jason and the Argonauts made a spectacle out of a battle between the heroes and menacing walking skeletons by combining stop-motion animated miniatures with live action. It took over 4 months to film the 4-minute sequence, but it and other creatures in the film created by Ray Harryhausen made a lasting impact.
Dave, do you mind if I ask you a personal question?
1968. Stanley Kubrick's film 2001: A Space Odyssey featured the most realistic footage of space ever created up until that point. It also featured miniature models of spacecraft, timer or manually guided motion control cameras, rear projection for the film's many video displays and computer monitors, and full-size props or models such as the 30-ton rotating Ferris wheel set of the spaceship. The 1970s. The Poseidon Adventure in 1972, Earthquake in 1974, and The Hindenburg in 1975 all won Special Achievement Awards for visual effects, beginning the modern age of disaster films. 1975. Although the gigantic animatronic shark named Bruce was inconsistent and often failed to function properly, director Steven Spielberg used camera tricks, atmospheric effects, and a killer score to scare everyone out of the water in Jaws. The film jump-started the career of Spielberg, who shows up several times on this list, and is credited with paving the way for the modern summer blockbuster.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
1977. Star Wars becomes the first major work of George Lucas's visual effects company, Industrial Light and Magic. ILM would become the biggest, most prestigious FX company in film history. Revolutionary new techniques were used to create aliens, lightsabers, and space battles. It was a landmark film that still inspires others over 40 years later.
Good luck.
1979. Alien took the horror genre to space with its use of computer imagery and practical effects. One of the most memorable was a genuinely shocking scene in which the terrifying chestburster graphically explodes through the front of the white t-shirt of John Hurt's character Kane. To this day, it still stands as one of the scariest uses of a puppet in film history.
Did you hear that? I heard that.
1981. The classic horror film An American Werewolf in London contained a visceral transformation scene that won special effects pioneer Rick Baker the first Best Makeup Oscar. That same year, audiences also got to see the award-winning visual effects of Nazis getting their faces melted off in Steven Spielberg's first Indiana Jones adventure, Raiders of the Lost Ark. (1982). Thanks to previous entries, science fiction films had become some of the most popular at the box office. Thanks to special effects, this year brought realistic versions of aliens with E.T. the Extraterrestrial, the future in Blade Runner, and life within a video game in Tron. The latter was the first live-action film to use computer-generated imagery, or CGI, to any lengthy degree, creating a full 3D world and the famed light cycle sequence depicting computerized vehicles in a high-speed race. (1988). A number of computer and hand-drawn animation techniques were used to combine the world of cartoons with that of the living in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. The remarkable computer animation included sophisticated shading, lighting, and shadows to make the hand-drawn animated characters appear very 3D and lifelike as they interacted with real-world objects and people.
Are you telling me you built a time machine?
Son of a DeLorean?
Director Robert Zemeckis completed this groundbreaking film between production of Back to the Future and its two sequels, all of which were masterful special effects adventures in their own right.
Come with me if you want to live.
1991. James Cameron's movie Terminator 2: Judgment Day was the first mainstream blockbuster with a computer-generated main character. The lethal, liquid metal, chrome T-1000 cyborg was capable of morphing into any person or object. Over 300 special effects shots made up 16 minutes of the film's running time. It was the most expensive movie ever made at the time, which was a feat that Cameron would get comfortable topping in his future films.
Hasta la vista, baby.
(1993). Jurassic Park, another blockbuster from famed director Steven Spielberg, broke new ground by mixing animatronics, or realistic robots, with models and computer-generated, photorealistic dinosaurs, displayed with textured skin and muscles. It marked the first use of photorealistic CG creatures in a feature film. The original plan to use stop-motion versions of the dinosaurs was quickly scrapped when CGI became the better option.
My mom always said life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get.
1994. Robert Zemeckis returns to bring the story of Forrest Gump to the big screen by using digital effects to splice Tom Hanks into archival news footage. He also created large CGI crowd scenes and infamously removed a character's legs by using blue socks that were later deleted digitally.
There seems to be no sign of intelligent life anywhere.
Hello?
1995. Toy Story becomes the first full-length computer-animated film to be given a theatrical release. The production company behind the film, Pixar, has dominated the animated box office over the last 25 years and is one of the most important parts of Walt Disney Studios.
To infinity and beyond!
1996. Kickstarting a new age of disaster films, Roland Emmerich's Independence Day spent $75 million on models and miniatures, more than any other film at that time. There were also over 3,000 VFX shots in the film, including motion-controlled photography, CGI, and some very realistic pyrotechnic explosions of well-known landmarks like the White House.
I know Kung Fu.
1999. The Matrix brought audiences into a world of mind-bending sci-fi virtual reality. Digital effects dubbed flow-mo and bullet time slowed down or rotated the action by suspending actors on wires and filming segments with multiple still cameras shooting from different angles. These effects were enhanced by digital graphics and post-production and created a very unique experience for filmgoers at the time. (2001 to 2003). Director of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, Peter Jackson, did what few others had attempted previously, and that was shoot 3 whole movies in one continuous production. Through his digital effects company, Weta, he pioneered 2 important techniques that impacted 21st century filmmaking. First, he used a process called motion capture to create the character Gollum by filming actor Andy Serkis in a special suit, then animating the fictitious troll-like creature over him, with his movements, facial expressions, and voice serving as the foundation. Jackson also created large-scale battles by utilizing computer programs that would animate the fantastical creatures and use AI, or artificial intelligence, to dictate what individual characters would be doing during a scene. 2002. Director Sam Raimi successfully and believably brought Spider-Man to life on film after Marvel Comics and other film productions had failed for over 30 years. The film included extensive use of photorealistic digital body doubles and cable rigs to create motion shots of Spidey somersaulting amid tall skyscrapers. It would also open the door for other superhero adaptations that were previously thought to be unfilmable. (2005) Because of an increase in the prominent use of digital technology, Sin City became the first film to shoot entirely on a green screen backlot and have the surroundings added digitally in post-production. Director Robert Rodriguez shot the entire film in color and then reduced it to black and white through digital color correction techniques, adding only splashes of color like red for blood. A year later, similar techniques were used by Zack Snyder to shoot the film 300. Both projects were based on graphic novels by Frank Miller. (2008) Digital effects are used for the first time to radically de-age a person, as Brad Pitt portrays a character that ages in reverse in The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Director David Fincher used the same technology again just 2 years later when CGI allowed Armie Hammer to play twins by mapping his facial performance onto another actor in The Social Network. (2009) James Cameron once again rewrote visual effects history by developing advanced 3D cameras that, when combined with motion capture technology, gave birth to the planet Pandora in his sci-fi epic Avatar. Only about 40% of the film was live action, while 60% was photorealistic CGI. Delayed 6 months so that special effects artists could complete their work, it went on to become the highest-grossing film of all time, topping his previous film, 1997's Titanic, which itself is a major achievement in VFX and won 11 Academy Awards.
Relax, kid. No need to get worked up.
2016. MPC Films developed new technology to animate muscle movement for photorealistic animals. This was on grand display in Jon Favreau's live-action remake of The Jungle Book, in which young actor Neil Sethi portrays Mowgli and stars as the only human actor in the film. Favreau would use the same technology once again in 2019's The Lion King.
Avengers!
Assemble.
2019. Avengers Endgame was the culmination of 11 years and 23 films worth of storytelling in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The comic book superhero movies perfected and showcased every major special effects advancement in recent history. Otherworldly sci-fi heroes and villains were created with prosthetics and makeup. Massive blue screen sound stages were perfectly merged with digital sets, and epic motion capture performances brought massive fantastical characters to life. All while computer software allowed for the aging and de-aging of stars that showed up at different points on the timeline, as well as convincingly changed the body size of others. The MCU is a special effects hallmark on the grandest scale, and the type of production that not only used tried and true methods of movie magic, but also pushed the boundary of what's possible, likely ushering in a new era of imaginative filmmaking and special effects.
I hope you enjoyed this video. If you stuck around to the end, you probably love the movies and special effects just as much as I do. So please consider liking and subscribing. If you want to use this video as a teaching tool, click the link in the description below and you'll find some activities and teacher resources. Or you can head on over to my website, www.herocityed.com. Once again, thanks for watching.